Hey guys, Timcast music producer Carter Banks here, wanting to wish you a Merry Christmas. We just signed our first artist to Trash House Records, and we have our first debut single coming out December 12th. Pre-save it on your favorite stream platform at trashhousechristmas.com. Support our work.
Mom 58 speaks out on attack at Nick Fuentes' home as he accepts humiliating punishment for pushing her down the stairs. Controversial live streamer Nick Fuentes has been ordered to attend anger management after pepper spraying a woman and shoving her down the steps of his Chicago area home. The far-right provocateur was accused of attacking 58-year-old Marla Rose in an incident she captured on video after knocking on his door in Berwyn, Illinois on November 10th, 2024. Fuentes, 27, was arrested and charged with one count of misdemeanor battery 17 days later and was released the same day. Along with court-mandated anger management course, Fuentes must issue a formal apology to Rose in person, compensate her $635 for the cell phone he broke, and complete 75 hours of community service before January 23rd. It can't be for white supremacists, Rose quipped in an interview with the Daily Mail, referring to the community service. Court records show that Fuentes accepted the terms on Tuesday, 2 days before he was due to appear in court. As part of the deal, there can be no further contact between the two. And this is why I chose West Virginia. Now, I think the mistake that Nick made is as soon as she knocked on the door, he opened it and pepper sprayed her. He probably should have just not gone to the door and should have called the police.
Yes.
I do understand, however, I'm not completely faulting him because people were stalking his home and threatening to kill him. And then a strange person shows up on his front door. And I think it's fair to say he really didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because certainly if he's accepting this agreement, if he really thought that he was just or that he was doing was right, he could have pleaded not guilty. However, in West Virginia, in order for you to access the property, we are gated. And if you trespass on my property and something bad happens, I'll just say that, we don't deal with this stuff out here.
What happens?
In West Virginia?
Yeah.
Well, let me just
POS
remove...
violations.
POS
violations happen.
Is that right?
No, I can say. I'll put it like this. Let's remove everything and just go into a neutral context.
Okay.
There is a... let's start with New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
Or we can go Chicago. But New Jersey is a good example. One of the worst states. A man kicks your door in and screams, "I've got a gun and I'm going to kill your family." And then he turns and you are in the kitchen and he is standing there. And you have a door behind you that leads out into your alley. If you say, "I won't let you do that," and shoot him, you have now murdered someone. And that is a crime and you'll be charged with a felony and arrested. Because you had an exit. You could have ran away.
That's trash.
You shouldn't live in
You are
New
forced
Jersey.
to retreat from your own home in New Jersey. Next up,
That's like
we
Canada.
we have Maryland. In Maryland, let's say you and your kids are out playing. Let's say you have like 5 acres and your kids are on the front lawn playing when a man starts walking up and he's got a rifle and he screams, "I'm going to kill your family." You are required to run into your home and lock the door. And only if the person tries to break in can you respond. So
Why does the criminal have the moral high ground?
because these states are evil.
Democrats.
Then we have West Virginia. Somebody, let's say you're on your property, it's 5 acres or whatever, and someone with a gun steps foot on your property and says, "I'm going to kill," bang, and they drop dead. The police show up and they say, "Good job." Now wait, it gets crazier than this. Let's say you're out on your 100-acre property in West Virginia and you've got a gun. It's your property. And you see a person on your property walking towards you with a rifle. Legally, you can't just kill someone because they're on your property with a weapon. It's supposed to be that you fear serious bodily harm or an imminent threat, even if they're on your property. That being said, in West Virginia, it is not incumbent upon the property owner to determine or to wait for an extreme circumstance. By simple act of a person trespassing and armed, you have a reasonable fear of death. Now, they still expect you to give a warning, but I will just say this. As it was described to me, I was told by law enforcement, please don't just shoot somebody walking around with a weapon because people hunt and sometimes they make mistakes. That being said, there have been many cases where the police have responded to a shooting and there is a dead man with a weapon and a property owner with a weapon. And he says, this guy was trespassing. He raised his weapon. I feared for my life. And the officers say, case closed. Because what can you do? You can't trespass on someone's property. You were armed. There's no witnesses. There's no statements. So all they can say is the guy feared for his life, and that's the way it works. Not in Chicago. In Chicago, they're going to be like, you're going to prison for the rest of your life.
Yeah, all those other states, they also don't seem to believe in private property. You know, they're very happy to seize what you've got and give it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Florida's a pretty good place also, just saying.
But it's starting to turn blue.
Well, maybe
Well,
in Miami, but
wasn't it like it was
Miami's like a whole other country.
It was only 22,000 votes that mayor won.
If we want to take the conversation back to the Republican Party, like we can go back there because I have a lot of frustrations with them.
Do you think the Republicans abandoned Miami?
No, I think that they right now there's so much infighting. Even in my state of Florida, like the governor has been fighting our House of Representatives, like our House and Senate, like crazy. The things that are going on, there's like this underlying divide between people that are supporting Trump type candidates and those that are supporting DeSantis candidates. Like every state, Moms for Liberty is in 48 states, and so I'm watching this unfold state after state. South Carolina, between their Freedom Caucus and their non-Freedom Caucus Republicans, they are at war. They are divided and they are fighting, and it's seeping over into all these other conservative grassroots organizations, and it's dividing them. It's happening like at the most local levels. It's like we can't have nice things. Mm-hmm. We win. Now's the time when we should be implementing all these policies and moving forward and making gains. And we are infighting because they're so used to fighting. There's no one left to fight, and so they're turning on each other. And I'm watching it all the time, every day, and I don't want a future with that woman.
It's infuriating. Yeah.
Yep. Well, if there's one thing,
back to her. Sorry.
If there's one thing that Candace Owens is doing very well, it's helping Nick Fuentes be mainstream.
Yeah.
Because she's gone so insane, Nick has now become the voice of reason in calling her and Ian Carroll out, and it's actually really funny.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoy it because Nick's segments calling out these conspiracy psychos, they're actually entertaining. They're very funny. He's a funny guy. And you were saying earlier that what's her name, Sarah Stalker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's people like her that made someone like Nick.
Yeah.
I will tell you, partially, but the South Side of Chicago makes someone like Nick.
Sure. I mean, it's not a single issue that's made Nick into the person that he is.
I thought your point was more that they make Nick viable by creating people that want to listen to him.
Yeah,
right.
Because Nick became Nick because of his upbringing, where he's lived. All the things that have happened to Nick are what has made Nick into the person that he is. But people that haven't had the same kind of experiences in South Side of Chicago or what have you, just normal guys that listen to him, they're like, well, I've experienced these kind of these insults because I'm a white kid. I hear, and it doesn't have to be directed at them. Kids that hear that woman talk, they're going to say, oh, she's talking about me. And she's talking about my future. And they know that their friends that try to go to college, they don't get into the college they want because they're a white kid or whatever. Or they don't get a job because they're a white kid and they want to hire someone that's not a white guy. These things are very, very tangible to young men. And young men already have to deal with the fact that the economy's rough. It's hard to get a start. Young people don't have anything. It's tough to start from zero. So it's already hard for them. So to have people in positions of power, and it's not just her, those same kind of ideas are repeated all throughout the Democrat Party. So you're hearing people like AOC, you're hearing people, members of Congress, people in the Senate, they say the same kind of things. So it doesn't matter that this one individual said it. This is the overall narrative that you get from the left. You even hear the late night guys making jokes about, I'm just a white guy, ha 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 ha. You see it in
White guy tacos.
Yeah, they use exactly.
Is that tuna and mayonnaise?
Yeah, you see it in comedies and sitcoms and stuff. The father's always a dopey guy and the mother knows everything. It's the way that specifically white men are treated by society now, because allegedly white men have been in positions of power. So now white men can't have nice things.
It's white men's fault.
It is.
I'm so sick of that bullshit. I'm
Well,
sorry. Yeah.
No, I mean,
I just had a son.
If white men were
Yeah,
in power
me too.
and
I
they
have a
decided
son.
to allow people to do all of these things, then who's to blame?
Yeah. Well, I think it's terrible.
A lot of the people that came up with these
I
ideas
think
were
it's-
white men. So.
Yeah. And then
At some point, some dude was like, it's a good idea. Women should vote. And here we are.
I don't think that's the root of the problem.
At some point, they said, you know what? Everyone should vote. Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah, my
you
answer
sound like
is
Jack Posobiec. That's
yeah.
the thing.
Jack's
here's the
correct.
important thing. Here's the important thing. When voting was instituted. It was, landowners. It was white men. And this means that most men weren't voting either. Only those who succeeded enough to be able to own property were able to vote. And so the issue isn't whether men or women can vote. I don't think we should repeal the 19th. I think we should introduce a new amendment that says, or we actually don't even need an amendment, just a law. Upon turning 18, you sign up for selective service, male or female, and when you do, they mail you your voter ID card. Or they mail you like your registration certificate, which with your name, which you then bring to the DMV, and you'll get like a voter stamp on your ID or whatever that you can use to vote. And if you don't have it, you can't vote. And I'm not saying people should be drafted. I'm saying you have to at least pledge that should the country fall into a time of need, you will step up in whatever means necessary, and you have a right to vote on how that happens.
There should be tests. You should have to actually pass a test to be able to vote.
I think my solution is, while difficult, yours is way too difficult.
I want it to be too difficult.
No, I'm saying you can't implement it. The idea that
That was the Vivek Ramaswamy thing. Right?
Everyone already signs up for selective service, men anyway. Mm-hmm. There's already Democrat pressure to make women do it as well. And you could very easily be like, oh, okay, so this is how you register to vote.
Yeah, but you're just going to end up with the same situation where like anyone signs up for selective service. And then they're going to go ahead and be...
You don't have to sign up for selective service. So what happens is when the liberal goes to some crackpot in the street and says, you want to sign up to vote? They'll be like, hell no, I don't want to get drafted.
No, I think it's a bad idea because the more brutish looking acting women might want to do it, and those of us that might want to have babies and be wives don't want to be drafted. I'd rather be
80% of women will not sign up.
No, I want a little more Starship Troopers in my voting. You have to be a citizen, and there should be a test. There should be some kind of requirement to become a citizen. You can be a civilian and you can live in the country, and that's fine. But you have to be a citizen to vote.
Right? Don't you guys remember? Don't you remember when Democrats were pushing for women in the draft, and all of these feminists started posting videos being like, no, and like, I don't want to be a feminist anymore.
Like, same thing happened,
and they were like, literally the feminism leaving my body.
The same thing happened when it came to voting. The arguments of the women that were not the non-suffragettes or whatever, the women that didn't think that women should vote, they're like, no, then we're going to have to be responsible. Then we're going to blah, blah, blah. They didn't want the responsibility.
This is my point. So go to an 18-year-old woman and say, would you like to vote? And they'll say yes. Just sign up for the draft. And they'll say, yeah, right.
I think that they would, because
you think women would sign up for the draft?
Because we have a mostly volunteer army, and because most people think the American people wouldn't stand for a draft.
I will bet you $100.
I will take that bet. Yeah.
I will. So let's have Elad go to Elad's going to go to Times Square.
Okay.
And we're going to have him walk up to random men and women, and he's going to ask them to actually sign up for the draft and be like, will you sign up right now to be drafted? And he's going to ask men and women, and I guarantee you it's going to be...
There has to be some kind of benefit for it. So the vote thing.
$5.
Ask them, would they?
I'll give you $5 right now to sign up to be drafted.
No, you have to ask them, would you if it were required to sign up for selective service for the draft in order to vote, would you? And the reason I say that is because right now, people think their vote is super important. They have been conned into thinking that voting is this amazing power.
Yeah, remember Rock the Vote, Paris?
Yeah, oh God, MTV destroyed.
Yeah,
so you actually think
ridiculous.
There'd be more women than men saying yes?
I think that you had to have most people saying, "Oh yeah, whatever," because there hasn't been a draft since Vietnam, and everybody protested against it. And no, the government's never going to draft people. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I think that people would assume that there would not be a draft. They would assume that there won't be any kind of big full scale war that would require drafting.
I think you're overestimating the intelligence of the average person.
I think no. Well, I'm not saying they're intelligent. I think that they would just say no. It's always going to be the situation that we've seen, which is people don't get
most
drafted.
people are going to say, I don't want to be drafted, even guys.
I'll bring $100 tomorrow.
I am with you that they're going to sign up, but if you're going to do that, you have to find out if they're conservative or liberal, because if you get 100 women, if you ask 190 sign up or 50 sign up, 60 sign up, and they're all liberal, like if you did that, if that got implemented, I think it would be all liberal women that would sign up. And
I don't think liberal women will sign up at all. I think there's like 8% of the population that are leftist. It's probably closer to 15 these days because it's been like 6 years since they did this poll, and they might say yes, the women in that bracket. But most women are going to go, huh? And don't you guys ever watch the Whatever podcast?
Yeah,
Where it's like, what
it's
country?
hard to watch.
Bro,
I find the Whatever podcast as hard to watch as watching Sarah.
Brian's
Stalker.
like, what country are you in? And they're like, Texas.
Yeah, but those women are not representative of the average woman in this country.
They might
you.
be.
Thank
Are
you.
They might be.
No.
I don't know.
I
I don't know
think they
anyone.
I love the one where the
don't
chick,
know
what's her name,
anyone,
Felicity.
so
She's like,
I don't know anyone at all.
She goes, name 3 countries, and the lady's like, I don't want to do this.
She can't name countries.
She's like China, Italy, and France, and then she goes to the next woman, and the woman goes, Canada, Italy, and France, and she's like, you can't use the same ones, pick different ones, and she's like, I don't know.
There's hundreds and hundreds of countries.
It's 189, I think.
And, yeah,
190?
189.
Is
yeah.
it 189?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Somalia on the corruption index is like 179 or something. It's like a corruption.
Are we going to go
culture.
there now?
what was it? Someone said that they were going to start actually investigating Ilhan Omar about whether she.
Yeah, Trump has been talking about it.
No, so she did. Like there was a report out in the Daily Mail that said she did marry her brother, and that she divorced her husband, married her brother. No. She married her brother in a Christian ceremony because nobody thinks that counts in the Muslim community. So nobody would know. So they just did that. And it wasn't that she married him for citizenship reasons. She married him so that he could get student loans. So it was corruption and fraud. It was just fraud. It was
Even
government
better.
loophole. Oh, that government money must be for me. If we just lie, we can have it.
I really hope that they do investigate and find something, and that I would love to see her lose her seat over this. Go to jail.
What you
for
mean?
that
Just
kind
get
of
sent back to Somalia.
That'd be
sent
fine.
back.
I would
too.
love that.
She would get her citizenship voided because the law is that if you commit immigration fraud, they can remove you. You can be denaturalized.
And that seems pretty fraudulent, marrying your brother in a fake ceremony so that you can get access to government services. You know, and then advocate for the government to forgive those loans. So now you're just stealing? The hell's that?
Love it.
Yeah, but she's trying to stop Morning Glory Milking Farm.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.